Howdy. I'm known as Dimwit, the last mountain man, feared throughout the land. Welcome to Winter Wonderland. It's closing in on Christmas and I got a treat for you. It's a very heavy and early percussion gun. It's got what's believed to be early Remington markings on the barrel. And I made this Tampion. And it's made by Adams, Utica. And that's Lyman Adams in Utica, New York. And according to the Utica directory, he was in business in 1832, and the lock is made by, it says, J. Dana and Company, Warranted. And it's difficult to find any information about Dana. A lot of times locks were imported from England, from Birmingham, and then you could have whatever name you wanted on them. But they seem to turn up on guns that were made in Utica. And somebody said they came from someplace in Massachusets. I don't know. I'll take the gun apart and show you those early Remington markings. But maybe just one more closer look. See, it's got a very heavy muzzle. It's a 68 caliber out here at the end of the muzzle, but it's actually a 64 caliber. And what's strange about it, it's a smoothbore. And for the last 3.5 inches, it flares out from 64 caliber to 68 caliber. And I guess that makes it easier to load. And it weighs almost 13 pounds. Got a 36.5 inch barrel. It's 1.25 inches thick at the muzzle. And across the flats at the breech end, it measures 1.33 inches. So, it's got a rear sight, which is setting quite a bit to the front, which kind of indicates maybe it was a grown man that had it for the first time. As your eyes get older, you see this a lot on the Kentucky rifles, that they moved the sight forward over the years, but this has been there the whole time. And it's got the butt of the gun, it's got a cheek pad on both sides. So I don't know. And it's got a hooked breech, so it's real simple to take apart and clean. Okay. We're gonna shoot this thing, of course, and but I have to tell you something strange about this gun. I got it from an old collector, then he got it years ago from a young widow up in Maine. That's way up in the northeastern corner of the United States, not too far from New York State. And she said it was a gun for hunting Bigfoot, Sasquatch, Yahoo. And I don't know, but that's what she said. And apparently her husband and his family, the oldest son, kind of had to be the Sasquatch hunter of the community, and this was passed down through the generations. And her husband got killed by a Sasquatch, I suppose, and she had a son, but she didn't want him to end up like that, so she moved away from there, and she needed the money to sold this gun. And so maybe it's kind of a strange gun, being a heavy barrel gun, smoothbore, with a flared out bore like that. Cheek pad on both sides. It kind of makes you think it was intended for powerful loads and fast reloads, and having to shoot from your left hand shoulder if you had to. And so I don't know, but whatever. Let's take it apart, and I'll show you those early Remington markings. Okay. Take this wedge out, don't lose it in the snow. I also have to take the ramrod out. Half cock, and then it comes apart just like that. And as you can see, hopefully it's got that hooked breech set up, and I really like that in the gun. It makes it easier to take apart for cleaning. And I clean my black powder guns, I use water and plenty of it, and it makes sense to take it apart. And there you see the hooked breech, and on the side of the barrel, hidden by the wood of the gun, is this Remington in a kind of an arch. It's difficult for me to see how this is picking up on the camera. I'll just kind of move it around a little bit, and hopefully we'll get lucky. And that Remington mark is not seen very often. More often you see it on a straight line than on an arch. And it is believed that the arch marking is an early marking. And Remington didn't really get into gun making until 1847 or thereabouts. And before that, they made gun barrels. And from 1816 until 1828, they made mostly farm tools and farm implements, but a few barrels. Then they moved, and those early barrels, they they are probably not marked at all. Nobody seems to know. And but in 1828 they moved to different location and built a bigger forge, and really got going on barrel production. And they moved to the Erie, I don't know if I'm saying that right, Erie Canal, which had been completed just a few years before. And this created kind of a boom in that area with industry and a lot of gun industry. And they used canal for transport and also to power their equipment. And so this being an early Remington marking, I'd say, and we know that Adams was in business in 1832. That's probably right around that time when the gun was made. Because it kind of got the looks of an early percussion gun, in my opinion. The percussion cap, as we know it, was patented in the United States in 1822. So if this gun is made 10 years after that, that makes sense. And this is in the northeastern part of the United States, a very civilized part of the country by then. And sure, they had percussion guns there earlier than further out west. Further out west, they still relied on flintlock at that time, I would say. So, let's shoot it and see if it works. And so, this is a 190-year-old gun. It has not been shot in probably more than a century. So this is another ain't been shot in a century video. And I think that's kind of exciting. Hopefully it won't blow up, but it's got a lot of metal in it, so I don't think so. And I'm using 1F powder, and I'm going to start with about 75 grains. The 1F powder has got a little larger kernels of powder than a lot of guys use, and that makes it, it takes a little longer for it to get consumed by the fire, and that way the pressure curve inside the gun is not quite as steep. So it's gentler on the gun. So if you're going to shoot antique guns, at least larger caliber ones, 1F powder is really the way to go. And we're just going to do this very simple. This is a 60 caliber round ball. It weighs 324 grains. And so it's a little bit undersized, and that's what we want because fouling builds up. Just drop that down in there. And some of you maybe seen me use this before. It's flax fibers, we call it tow, and we make that into a kind of a ball, roll it into a ball, kind of like that, and we'll shove it in there on top of the round ball just to keep things in place. Now we'll tamp that down in there. Some of you may not be familiar with this way of loading a smoothbore. They did not use patch bolt in the smoothbores back in the day. They used several other methods. This is one of them. And the theory here is that with that bare ball sitting on top of the powder, it's a little bit undersized. You're going to have a lot of gases, expanding gases, getting past that round ball, and it's going to keep it centered going down the bore, and that makes it more accurate, and that actually makes sense. So we'll see how that goes. Half cock, and I have a capper. Something went wrong. I should have checked before. Okay. There we go. Oh, and I'm going to put some different glasses on just to try to protect my eyes a little bit better. Okay, wish me luck. Well, that was a gentle load. Not hardly any recoil in a heavy barrel like that. And my glasses are fogging up. Should have known. I wasn't too concerned about hitting anything. I'm having a difficult time holding this gun steady anyway. It's so heavy. I think it's a younger man's gun. Let's see. We'll try this again, and we'll try a little more powder this time. So that's, well, that's actually 90 grains. You probably should, oh, okay. When you have an undersized ball like this and no wadding between the powder and the ball, you actually use larger loads of powder than you otherwise would have, because you have more expanding gases escaping past the round ball. Makes sense? And that's this is exactly the same principle as the military muskets, smoothbore muskets use. They use paper cartridges, and you know, they rip them open and pour the powder in there, and they shoved it down in there. Well, some did with the paper in between the powder and the ball, others with the paper on top, depending on what country we're in, what time in history. And so it's a common way of doing it, there was. Now, what I should have done is to catch the Sasquatch and shoot him for you, so you could see what kind of the effect that 60 caliber round ball would have on a Sasquatch. But we don't have them in Norway, and so the closest thing that we have is the Scandinavian brown bear, And of course they're hibernating now in the winter, and so I thought I crawled down into its den and dragged it out of there, and I kind of put up a fight, so I had to strangle it with my bare hands. But here it is. Yeah, he was kind of in the Christmas spirit, and I ruined his day, you'd say. So, there's no reason to be upset, because he can't feel a thing. He's already dead. So we'll poke him in the eye with this. Just see, there's no response. He's dead. So no reason to get upset. Okay? So all in the name of science. Let's see. I have to cap my gun. Okay. Oh dear. Well, oops. It's got smoking hot. Surprisingly small exit wound. Okay. Oh, we can't stop there. All the trouble I had dragging that bear out of his den, I can't just shoot once. Well, I kind of like the sound of the gun a little better with 90 grains, and then I didn't get the impression that was too much. So, but we'll stick to the 90 grains. A 190-year-old gun after all, so we're not gonna torture it. It's still smoking. Okay, and it's kind of difficult to keep all this on camera all the time. Okay. Well, I just made him a new belly button. Let me just put this gun down. Well, there he is. And he's been shot in the gut. There's a exit wound there, and there's one in the neck as well. It's difficult to see.